They say the market is ruthless, that it chews up beginners and spits them out without a second thought. But the brutal truth is this: the market isn't your enemy. It's just a mirror that reflects your fears, your greed, and your impatience. And that's why most traders never make it past the beginning. They think they're here to conquer charts, when in reality, the first war is with themselves. Think about how most people start this journey. They watch a flashy video, see someone on social media posting their big win, and suddenly they believe trading is their golden ticket. They scrape together a small account, sometimes money they can't even afford to lose, and step into the arena convinced that they'll beat the odds. For a while it feels exciting. Every tick of the chart feels like destiny. Every small profit feels like proof they were born for this. But deep down, that excitement is just adrenaline. And adrenaline doesn't last. Here's the shocking statistic. More than 90% of traders lose money and quit within their first year. Not because they lacked intelligence, not because they didn't have access to strategies or tools, but because they walked in blind to the real challenge, their own psychology. I want you to picture two beginners. Both open their first live account on the same day. Trader A believes success is about finding the perfect system. He downloads indicators, buys a course, and tells himself, if I can just find the holy grail setup, I'll never lose. Trader B, on the other hand, accepts from day one that losses are part of the game. He doesn't chase the magic bullet. He focuses on learning the rules of risk, the rules of patience, and the rules of discipline. Now fast forward 6 months, Trader A is broken. His account blown up and his confidence shattered. Trader B, maybe he's not rich yet, but he's still in the game. Still learning, still improving, still alive. That's the first dividing line. Survival. Most traders never survive long enough to even give themselves a chance. They sabotage themselves with over-leveraging, over-trading, or chasing the thrill of being right. They think the market punished them. No, their mindset did. Let's take a step back into history. Do you remember Nick Leeson, the rogue trader who collapsed Barings Bank in 1995? He didn't fail because he lacked a strategy. He failed because he couldn't take a loss. He doubled down again and again, desperate to avoid the pain of admitting he was wrong. That mindset cost him everything and destroyed one of the oldest banks in the world. The lesson is clear. It's never the chart that ends your career. It's the inability to master your own impulses. The irony is that this isn't just about traders. Athletes, soldiers, poker players, and pilots, all of them face the same truth. The battle is internal. Professional poker player doesn't win every hand. In fact, he loses often. But he survives because he plays the probabilities with discipline. A pilot doesn't panic at every bump of turbulence. He trusts the system, the training, and the process. A boxer doesn't quit the moment he takes a punch. He breathes, resets, and steps forward. And yet most traders, the moment they take one financial hit, collapse emotionally. They're knocked out before the fight even begins. Here's what you need to realize. The market doesn't require you to be a genius. It requires you to be consistent. It doesn't care how passionate you are or how badly you need to win. It only cares whether you can control yourself long enough to let probabilities play out. And most people can't. They bring their ego into the market. They bring their desperation. They bring their need to get rich fast. And those emotions are the very reason they fail before they even start. So if you're stepping into this world, you have a choice. You can be like the 90%. The dreamers who burn out in a storm of fear and greed. Or you can decide right now that you'll face the real enemy, yourself. That's the only way forward, and this is where our journey begins. Because once you understand why most fail, only then can you begin to see what separates the ones who survive. In the next stage, we're going to dig deeper into the hidden traps that kill traders from the inside out, and how to spot them before they destroy you. The market doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about your dreams of financial freedom. It doesn't care about your rent, your bills, or that voice in your head whispering, I just need one big win. The market is indifferent, cold, unemotional. But here's the paradox. While the market itself doesn't care, it reveals everything about you. Every chart you stare at, every trade you take is a reflection of your own psychology. Fear, greed, and impatience, they all light up on your trading history like neon signs. Think about the last time you took a loss. Did you stick to your stop loss, or did you move it just this once, hoping the market would turn around? That wasn't the market's decision. That was yours. Think about the last time you saw a position in profit. Did you let it run according to your plan? Or did you snatch the money off the table too early because you were scared to lose it? Again, not the market's doing. That was you. This is why I call the market a mirror. It doesn't create your emotions. It exposes them. The charts are neutral. But when you sit down to trade, the way you react to those candles reveals the truth about who you really are under pressure. Let me give you an example. Imagine two traders staring at the exact same setup. The breakout is forming, the levels are clear, and the signal is strong. Trader A takes the trade, sets the stop, and walks away, calm and detached. Trader B takes the same trade, but the moment the price moves a few ticks against him, he panics. He exits early, then re-enters too late, then revenge trades to make up for his frustration. By the end of the day, Trader A has profit. Trader B has chaos. Same chart, same market, same setup, different mind. That's the mirror in action, and it's not just theory. History proves it. Go back to 1982 when Richard Dennis recruited a group of complete beginners, bartenders, security guards, and people who had never traded a day in their lives. He gave them the exact same system, the same rules, and the same capital. Some of them became millionaires. Others blew up completely. What separated them wasn't knowledge. It was psychology. Some could follow the rules under pressure. Others let fear and greed hijack their decisions. Same strategy, completely different outcomes. Why? Because the market reflected their inner discipline, or lack of it. Now here's the trap most traders fall into. They think trading is about predicting the future. They obsess over indicators, signals, and strategies, telling themselves, if I can just predict the next move, I'll win. But the truth is, nobody can predict the future. Not consistently. Not even the best traders alive. What separates winners from losers isn't prediction. It's response. Winners control how they respond to uncertainty. Losers let uncertainty control them. Picture a casino for a moment. Casinos don't know what the next spin of the roulette wheel will be. They don't predict whether it'll land on red or black, but they don't have to. Why? Because they know the probabilities. They know that over thousands of spins, their edge will always win out. The difference is that casinos don't panic when someone wins a big hand. They don't double down out of revenge when someone walks away with chips. They trust the edge. They stay consistent. That's how you need to think as a trader. The market isn't asking you to predict every tick. It's asking you to confront yourself. Can you stay disciplined in the face of uncertainty? Can you detach from the outcome of a single trade and trust the process over the long run? Or will you crumble the moment the mirror shows you your weaknesses? Because here's the part most people never want to face. If you're losing trade after trade, it's not the market's fault. It's not your broker. It's not bad luck. It's you. The market is showing you your lack of patience, your lack of discipline, and your addiction to being right. That's a hard truth, but it's also the most liberating one you'll ever hear. Because once you accept that the market is just a mirror, you can stop blaming it and start fixing the person staring back at you. And this realization changes everything. The moment you stop fighting the market and start working on yourself, you gain a real edge. Not because the market became easier, but because you stopped sabotaging yourself. So the next time you sit down at your desk, don't just ask, what is the market telling me? Ask, what is the market showing me about myself? That's where growth begins. And once you see that clearly, you'll start to understand why the winners seem so calm, so detached, so consistent, while everyone else burns out. And that's exactly where we're headed next. The hidden contrast between the few who win and the many who lose. Two traders, same chart, same breakout, same opportunity. Yet by the end of the day, one of them walks away calm, controlled, and consistent, while the other spirals into chaos, blowing up their account and blaming everything but themselves. This isn't a theory. Think about the difference between a rookie and a professional pilot. A rookie hits turbulence and panics, gripping the controls too tightly, jerking the plane around and making things worse. A professional? Calm, steady, he's trained for this. He knows turbulence isn't the end of the flight, it's just part of it. He trusts his preparation, and he keeps the plane on course. Trading is no different. Drawdowns aren't the end of your career. They're turbulence. And the way you respond determines whether you make it through or crash. The amateurs treat every losing streak like a verdict on their identity. One bad week, and they're questioning their system, their future, and even themselves. They hop to a new strategy, double their risk, or give up entirely. But the professionals? They view losses as tuition, as the cost of doing business, as part of the long game. Look at George Soros again. He was never afraid to be wrong. In fact, he was wrong plenty of times. But he didn't crumble when the market turned against him. He adjusted, he absorbed the hit, and he kept playing. That's resilience. Or think of Jesse Livermore, the man who made and lost multiple fortunes throughout his career. Love him or hate him, his story shows the same lesson. If you're in this game long enough, setbacks will find you. The only question is whether you learn and adapt or collapse under the weight of frustration. Resilience also means emotional recovery. Too many traders take a hit and immediately chase the next trade, desperate to get even. But resilience requires stepping back, breathing, reviewing, and asking one critical question. Did I follow my plan? If yes, then the loss is just part of the math. If not, then the lesson is clear. Fix the mistake. Either way, you move forward without self-destruction. The market will test your patience. It will grind you down. It will demand more than you thought you could handle. And yet the ones who last, the true winners, are not the ones who never feel the pain. They're the ones who feel it fully, absorb it, and still keep walking. Every drawdown is a test. Every losing streak is a chance to prove to yourself that your discipline is stronger than your emotions. Every setback is tuition, payment to the market for the education of becoming unshakable. And here's the shift. Once you stop seeing losses as punishment and start seeing them as tuition, everything changes. Fear fades, greed weakens. You stop panicking because you know storms aren't permanent. You know resilience is what carries you through. Because in the end, trading is not about avoiding the storms. It's about learning how to stand tall in the middle of them. The market will test you. It always does. The question is, will you break or will you bend and bounce back stronger? And that brings us to the final step, the true transformation. Because resilience isn't the end goal. It's the foundation for the identity shift that separates gamblers from professionals and amateurs from masters. And that's where we're headed next. At some point, every trader hits a crossroads. On one side is the gambler, the one chasing quick wins, glued to every tick, trading on impulse, hoping luck will carry them. On the other side is the professional, the one who treats trading as a business, who shows up with discipline, and who doesn't need luck because the process already tilts the odds in their favor. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Until you change who you are at your core, you will keep living like the gambler. You'll keep chasing, keep blowing accounts, and keep repeating the same cycle of hope and heartbreak. The transformation isn't about finding a new indicator. It isn't about memorizing another candlestick pattern. It isn't even about learning the latest strategy some guru is selling. The real shift is identity. Are you the person who needs to be right? Or are you the person who needs to follow the plan? Are you the person who trades for excitement? Or the person who trades for consistency? Are you the gambler? Or the professional? Think about it. Casinos don't gamble. They don't care if you win one spin or even if someone wins big at the table. Their edge plays out over hundreds of thousands of hands, day after day, year after year. They don't panic. They don't chase. They just run the game with discipline. And in the long run, they always win. That's exactly how the professional trader operates. One trade means nothing. One loss, one win, or even 1 week doesn't define them. Their focus is on the next 1,000 trades, the next 10 years, and the long-term growth that only consistency delivers. The gambler, on the other hand, can't think beyond today. They need the win right now. They need the dopamine hit. They need the market to save them. And that mindset is why they never last. History proves it. Nick Leeson blew up Barings Bank because he was desperate to get even, clinging to losses he couldn't accept. A gambler's mindset. George Soros, meanwhile, could admit he was wrong and cut his losses in seconds. That humility, that detachment, that professionalism, that's why he survived and thrived. This isn't just about trading, it's about who you decide to be. The market will always expose your weaknesses. If you're impulsive in life, you'll be impulsive on the charts. If you lack discipline outside the markets, you won't magically find it inside. Trading doesn't just test your strategy, it tests your character. So ask yourself, what identity are you building? Are you a gambler, forever chasing shortcuts? Or a professional committed to boring, consistent execution? Because once you choose, really choose, everything changes. Discipline stops feeling like a prison. It becomes freedom. Consistency stops feeling boring. It becomes power. Losses stop feeling personal. They become data. And here's the biggest breakthrough. When you stop trading like a gambler and start operating like a professional, the market stops being your enemy. It becomes your partner. Mirror that reflects your growth, your patience, and your resilience. The charts won't suddenly get easier. The storms won't disappear. But you will change. And that change is what gives you an edge no strategy can ever provide. The market rewards professionals. It punishes gamblers. Which side you land on isn't about knowledge or luck. It's about identity. So as you walk away from this, the question isn't whether your strategy is good enough. The real question is this: are you ready to stop gambling and start trading like a professional? Because the moment you make that shift, not in your strategy but in yourself, that's the moment you stop chasing survival and start building freedom. The truth is harsh, but it's simple. Strategies don't make traders rich. Mindsets do. Every blown account, every gambler's spiral, every story of failure, it doesn't come from not knowing enough. It comes from not controlling yourself when it matters most. The market doesn't care about your dreams. It doesn't care how badly you need the rent money. It doesn't care about your plans for the Lambo or the mansion or the freedom lifestyle you've been fantasizing about. It only reflects you, your strengths, your weaknesses, your discipline, or lack of it. That's why the ones who make it aren't the smartest. They aren't the ones with the secret system. They're the ones who learn to master themselves before they ever try to master the market. Think about that for a second. Two traders can have the exact same setup, the same entry, the same stop loss, the same everything. One makes money. The other loses it all. What's the difference? Not the chart. Not the strategy. The difference is the mind that pressed the button. That's the final key most traders never accept. The market is not about finding certainty. It's about learning to thrive in uncertainty. It's about training your mind to act with discipline when fear screams at you to run, and to stay patient when greed tells you to chase. This isn't sexy. It's not glamorous. It's not a quick fix. But it's the only thing that works. Because once you build that discipline, once you detach from outcomes, once you truly step into the role of a professional, you become unstoppable. The market will still test you. You'll still face losses, drawdowns, and storms. But they won't break you anymore. They'll sharpen you. Every loss becomes tuition. Every mistake becomes growth. Every storm makes you stronger. And while most traders quit, blaming the market, blaming bad luck, blaming everything but themselves, you'll keep standing. You'll keep compounding. You'll keep building the kind of consistency that actually leads to freedom. That's the trader's mindset that prints money. Not because it guarantees you'll win every trade, but because it guarantees you'll still be here long after everyone else has quit. So here's the challenge I'll leave you with. Stop chasing magic systems. Stop obsessing over the next big setup. Stop trying to control the market. Instead, master yourself. Because in the end, the greatest edge you'll ever have isn't on the chart. It's in your head, and once you master that, the game changes forever. And this is the reality most people never escape. They think they're trading strategies, but in truth, they're trading emotions. Their account balance isn't a reflection of their system. It's a reflection of their self-control, or lack of it. So the next time you feel the urge to take just one more trade, or to hold on to a loser because you can't stand the pain of being wrong, stop and ask yourself, are you being the casino or the gambler? Because that choice determines everything. But here's the good news. This roller coaster can be escaped. And the way off the ride is through one thing: discipline. Not the glamorous kind people post about on social media. The boring, repetitive, ruthless discipline that keeps you from pressing the button when your emotions beg you to. The discipline to follow your plan, even when every instinct screams against it. And that's exactly where we're headed next. Because once you understand how discipline beats strategy every time, you'll finally see the only path to survival in this game. Every new trader starts the same way. They chase the Holy Grail, the secret indicator, the perfect entry, the system that never loses. They spend months hopping from one strategy to another, convinced the next one will be the answer. But here's the harsh truth. No strategy will save you, not because strategies don't work. Plenty of them do. But because strategies don't trade themselves, you do. And if you can't follow your own rules with iron discipline, even the most brilliant system will collapse in your hands. Think about this. A trader with a mediocre strategy but flawless discipline will always outperform a trader with the best strategy in the world, but no discipline. Always. Why? Because markets don't reward brilliance. They reward consistency. The winning traders know this. They've accepted that trading is not about prediction. It's about process. It's not about being right. It's about being consistent. Richard Dennis proved this with the turtle traders. He handed them a simple set of rules, and half of them thrived while the others failed. The rules worked. The strategy worked. The only difference was discipline. The winners stuck to the process through thick and thin. The losers broke the rules the moment emotions whispered in their ear. And that's exactly why most traders fail. They think they need to find the perfect strategy, when in reality, they need to become the kind of person who can follow any good strategy with discipline. Imagine two traders again. Trader A has a complex algorithm, back-tested for years, precise to the decimal, but he tweaks it after every losing streak, breaking the consistency that gave it power. Trader B uses nothing more than a basic breakout system, but he never deviates. He sizes correctly, follows stops, and sticks to his plan. Over time, Trader B wins, not because his method is superior, but because his discipline is unshakable. This is why flashy systems collapse and boring consistency survives. The market doesn't care about complexity. It doesn't care about how smart you sound in a trading forum. It cares about whether you can execute your edge over and over without self-sabotage. Think of a casino again. Its edge is tiny, sometimes just 2% or 3%, but it never deviates, never. It doesn't care about one spin or one night. It cares about the process. That's why it always wins in the long run. If casinos acted like traders, doubling bets after a bad streak, moving the goalposts, chasing losses, Vegas would be a ghost town. And yet, that's exactly what most traders do. Discipline, on the other hand, is the antidote. It's what turns probability into profit. It's what separates survival from destruction. It's what makes trading boring, and that's the point. The moment trading becomes exciting, emotional, and dramatic, that's when you know discipline has left the room. Look at the greats. Jesse Livermore wasn't remembered for his entries. He was remembered for his patience. Soros didn't thrive because he predicted everything perfectly. He thrived because he cut losers without hesitation and let winners run. These weren't strategy hacks. They were disciplined habits, so let's reframe it. Trading is not a game of prediction. It's a game of execution. It's not about chasing wins. It's about showing up, following your plan, and letting the probabilities do the work. And that's the part most people can't stomach. They want the thrill, the drama, and the adrenaline. But the traders who survive, they embrace the boredom. They embrace the routine. They understand that real freedom in trading comes from doing the same simple thing, correctly, thousands of times. That's why discipline beats strategy every time, because strategy is knowledge, but discipline is power. And this leads us to the final transformation, the identity shift every trader must make. From gambler to professional, from outcome chaser to process-driven executor, from someone who crumbles under pressure to someone who stands steady. No matter what the market throws their way, detachment, patience, two words that almost no beginner wants to hear because they don't sound exciting. They don't promise fast profits. They don't light up the dopamine circuits in your brain the way a flashy setup does. But here's the truth. They're the closest thing you'll ever get to a real edge in trading. The best traders? They don't act like gamblers sitting at the roulette table chasing spins. They act like the casino owner watching from the balcony. Calm, detached, patient. They don't care about one outcome. They care about the series. They don't measure success in one trade. They measure it over hundreds. thousands. That's where patience enters the picture. Picture this. A rookie trader wakes up, opens the charts, and immediately feels the urge to take a position. It doesn't matter if the setup is half-baked or if the market is choppy. They feel they must trade. Because in their mind, trading is about action, about being in the game. And so they force trades over and over, bleeding slowly until their account runs dry. Now picture a professional. Same morning, same charts, but a different approach. He scans, he waits, and he watches. And then, nothing. No valid setups. Does he click buy or sell anyway? No, he shuts it down, walks away. He comes back the next day and the next until finally, the market aligns with his plan. He acts, he executes. And because he waited, that one trade makes sense. It fits the probabilities. It works. This is the unsexy edge, not a prediction, not some hidden secret indicator, but the ability to sit still when the market has nothing to offer. Detachment is the other half of that coin. The best traders know that one trade means nothing. They don't tie their identity to being right or wrong on a single entry. They tie it to consistency. They tie it to survival. George Soros didn't care about being wrong half the time. Jesse Livermore lost fortunes and made them back because he didn't cling to one outcome. The turtles who thrived didn't obsess over each stop-out. They trusted the series. Think of it like poker. A professional player can lose hand after hand and never flinch because he knows the math. He knows if he plays enough hands correctly, the odds tilt in his favor. But the amateur, every loss feels personal. Every bad beat shakes his confidence. That's why the amateur quits and the professional lasts. Trading is the same. Detachment means you can lose 3 trades in a row and still place the 4th without hesitation because you trust the edge. Patience means you can sit for days without trading because you know forcing action is worse than missing it. It's not glamorous. It's not flashy. It's not something you can brag about on social media. But it's exactly what separates those who quietly compound wealth from those who loudly blow up. And here's the paradox. The less you need to trade, the more profitable you become. The less you chase outcomes, the more consistent your results. The more you let go of the need to control every tick, the more control you actually gain over your results. So ask yourself, are you acting like the gambler on the floor, desperate to stay in action? Or are you acting like the casino owner, detached, patient, letting the edge play out over time? Because that choice doesn't just decide your next trade, decides your entire career. And this is what brings us to the final transformation, the point where everything shifts from tactics and tools to identity. Because if you want to last in this game, you can't just do what professionals do. You have to become who they are. The storms will come. It doesn't matter how sharp your strategy is or how disciplined you've become. There will be drawdowns, losing streaks, and gut-wrenching volatility that shakes even the strongest hands. And this is where most traders break. Not because the market was unbeatable, but because they never built the resilience to withstand the storm. Here's the hard truth. You don't get to skip pain in this game. You will take losses. You will sit through drawdowns. You will feel the sting of watching profits vanish in seconds. Winners don't escape those moments. They survive them. This is reality, and it happens every single day. Let's paint the picture. The market is tightening, building energy. A breakout is coming. Trader A and Trader B are both watching. Same strategy, same rules, same signals. Trader A executes the plan. He sets his entry, defines his stop loss, and calculates his risk. He knows he might win, and he knows he might lose. But either way, his edge will play out over time. He takes the trade, calm, detached. Trader B does the same at first. But the moment the market ticks against him, panic hits. His heart rate spikes. He thinks, what if I'm wrong? What if this stops me out again? He exits early. Then the market turns back in his direction. Anger replaces fear. He chases back in. Now he's overexposed. When the breakout fakes out again, he's wiped out. Frustration takes the wheel. And soon he's revenge trading, doubling his size, trying to win it back. By the end of the session, he's exhausted. His account is bleeding. And he can't understand how Trader A made money on the exact same setup. This is the brutal truth. The setup didn't matter. What mattered was the mind behind the setup. and history proves it. Richard Dennis, the man behind the legendary turtle traders experiment, gave a group of complete beginners the same set of rules. Same entries, same exits, same risk parameters. Some became multimillionaires. Others failed. Why? Because half could stick to the rules under pressure, and half couldn't. The setup is neutral. It doesn't care. The chart is the same for everyone. But psychology splits the winners from the losers. And this is where traders make the deadliest mistake. They believe their strategy is broken. They blame the indicators. They jump from one system to the next, searching for the holy grail. But the truth is, they don't need a better strategy. They need a better self. Think of it like poker. Two players are dealt the exact same hand over thousands of games. The amateur will play it differently each time. Sometimes too aggressive, sometimes too passive, depending on how they feel. The pro? He plays it with discipline every single time, win or lose, because he understands the math, the edge, and the probabilities. And over the long run, that consistency pays. The market works the same way. You don't need to win every trade. You don't even need to be right more than half the time. What you need is the ability to execute your edge consistently, without letting fear, greed, or frustration hijack your decisions. Here's the real dividing line. Trader A accepts uncertainty. He knows losses are part of the game. Trader B demands certainty. He needs every trade to work, and when it doesn't, his emotions spiral out of control. Which trader survives? Always Trader A. Which trader self-destructs? Always Trader B. So ask yourself this. When you take a trade, are you executing like Trader A or reacting like Trader B? Because the market doesn't care which one you are, but your account will. And this leads us to the deeper question. What really separates Trader A's calm discipline from Trader B's emotional chaos? The answer lies in confidence. Not arrogance, not ego. Real unshakable confidence. And that's exactly what we're about to uncover. History has a way of teaching the lessons that traders today refuse to learn. If you think your problem is a missing indicator or a lack of some secret system, think again. The evidence is already written in the stories of those who came before us, and they all scream the same truth. It's never the method, it's always the mind. Take Richard Dennis, a man so legendary in trading circles that he decided to run an experiment just to prove a point. He gathered a group of complete beginners, people with no background in finance, and gave them a set of rules. Nothing fancy. Simple entries, simple exits, strict risk management. He called them the turtles. What happened? Some of those turtles went on to make millions. Others blew up completely. Same rules, same system, same teacher. So why the divide? Because half had the discipline to follow the rules under pressure, and half didn't. Dennis was right. Strategies can be taught. But emotional control, that has to be built from within. Now let's flip the coin. Leeson. He wasn't some rookie. He was a rising star at Barings Bank, one of the oldest financial institutions in the world. But one fatal flaw destroyed him. He couldn't control himself. When his trades went bad, instead of cutting losses, he doubled down. Then he doubled down again. Soon he was hiding billions in losses, gambling with the bank's future. By the time it was over, Barings, a bank that had survived for over 2 centuries, was wiped off the map. Not because of the markets, not because of the strategy, but because one man couldn't master his own psychology. And then there's George Soros. He's remembered for breaking the Bank of England, making $1 billion in a single day. But that's not the real lesson. The real lesson is how Soros thought about losses. He didn't cling to them. He didn't let his ego fight the market. Soros once said, "It's not whether you're right or wrong that matters, but how much money you make when you're right and how much you lose when you're wrong." That's mindset. That's detachment. That's why he thrived. Do you see the pattern? The same market that created millionaires also destroyed institutions. The difference wasn't knowledge. It wasn't strategy. It was discipline, self-control, emotional resilience. Think about it this way. A casino doesn't win because it predicts every spin of the roulette wheel. It wins because it has rules. It has discipline. It knows its edge and it never deviates. But when traders sit down at the markets table, most of them act like drunk gamblers chasing losses instead of like casinos running probabilities. And that's why the majority fail. If you zoom out on history, you'll notice something chilling. Every great collapse, from Barings to Lehman to individual hedge funds, was never purely about the trades. It was about the traders, people who let fear, greed, or arrogance override discipline, people who knew the rules but didn't follow them. So here's the question. Will you repeat history or will you learn from it? Because the stories are already there. Richard Dennis showed that anyone can succeed if they stick to the process. Nick Leeson proved that even the best opportunities mean nothing if you lose control. Soros demonstrated that survival depends on cutting losses without hesitation. The market is full of opportunity, but it's also full of temptation, and only the trader who can conquer himself will last long enough to seize it. And this brings us to the heart of it all. What actually builds that kind of inner strength? What separates those who crumble like Leeson from those who thrive like Soros? The answer is the mindset shift. From chasing outcomes to mastering process. That's where the real edge lives. If history shows us anything, it's this. The market doesn't destroy traders. Their own emotions do. And nothing illustrates that better than the emotional roller coaster. Every beginner straps themselves into the moment they place their first trade. It starts with fear. That knot in your stomach when the market moves against you, the sweat in your palms, the frantic hope that maybe, just maybe, this candle will turn around if you hold on long enough. Fear whispers lies. Don't take the loss. Wait a little longer. It'll come back. But more often than not, it doesn't. And what was once a small, manageable cut becomes a deep wound that bleeds your account dry. Then comes greed. The other side of the coin. The trade goes in your favor, you're in profit, and suddenly you feel invincible. The urge kicks in. Add more size, take another position, and double down because you can't lose. And right there, greed blinds you. One impulsive move, one over-leveraged bet, and the same profit that felt like victory turns into devastation. And when fear and greed take turns beating you down, there's one final demon waiting, revenge. This is the silent killer of trading accounts. You take a loss, and instead of stepping back, you jump right back in, desperate to make it back. You're not trading a setup anymore, you're trading your pain. You're not following rules, you're following anger. And in that state, every decision you make is poisoned. It's no longer about probabilities. It's personal. This cycle repeats itself endlessly for those who never learn. Fear makes them hold losers. Greed makes them overtrade winners. Revenge makes them chase the market like a gambler at a slot machine who can't walk away. And the irony? Every single one of these emotions feels justified in the moment. That's why traders fall for them again and again. But here's the brutal truth. The market doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care that you're scared. It doesn't care that you're greedy. It doesn't care that you need to make it back. The chart doesn't move because you're upset. It moves because that's what markets do. And if you tie your actions to your emotions, you're handing the market your account on a silver platter. Think of the casino again. The casino doesn't tilt. It doesn't get angry after a bad night. It doesn't double its bets in frustration. It stays patient, calm, and disciplined. That's why it wins in the long run. But most traders, they act like the gamblers on the other side of the table, up and down with every spin, convinced they can get it all back if they just play one more hand.